beneath the silver eye of a full moon. The forest trembled, but it wasn't the wind that stirred the trees that night. It was the growls of wolves ancient and young, preparing for a war that would tear their world apart. For centuries, the Lycanthra clan had lived deep within these woods, hidden from human eyes. They were bound by the old code, a sacred pact of secrecy, restraint, and honor. They hunted only what they needed, changed only when the moon commanded, and above all, they remained unseen. They were the silent guardians of a forgotten world, living in the shadows cast by myth and legend. But a new generation was rising. They were faster, louder, and they carried a hunger for more than just survival. They craved power. They called themselves the Red Fang, and they were tired of hiding. They believed it was time for humanity to know the monsters that lurked in their midst. They wanted war. Elder Garen, the alpha of the old guard, stood at the cliff's edge, his fur streaked with the gray of countless moons, his eyes like gathering storm clouds. Behind him, the pack waited in solemn, silenced veterans of centuries, their bodies scarred, their hearts weary but resolute. They had seen empires rise and fall, and they understood the price of revealing their existence. Across the valley, under the defiant glare of torchlight, stood the young. They were a vision of wild, reckless power, their howls echoing with a challenge that shook the very mountains. At their head was Kale, his fur the color of night, his eyes burning with ambition. He was Garen's own son. Kale's voice ripped through the valley, a blade aimed at the heart of the old ways. Your time is done, old wolf. No more hiding, no more cowering in fear. Tonight, the humans will remember the name Leek. Garen's reply was a low, rumbling growl, heavy with the wisdom of ages. You speak of pride, but you bring only ruin. The humans will not bow to beasts. They will burn this forest to ash to be rid of us. Kale's answer was a snarl of pure defiance. So be it. Let them burn. We will rise from the ashes, stronger than ever. And with that final, fateful declaration, the war began. The valley erupted into a storm of fur and fury. Wolves clashed in midair, a whirlwind of claws and teeth. The silver moonlight turned crimson, stained by the spray of blood. The young fought with a savage, reckless abandon, driven by a raw, untamed rage and the intoxicating thrill of freedom. They were a force of nature, a wildfire of instinct. But the old fought with purpose. Their movements were sharp, their attacks precise, each strike guided by centuries of hard-won instinct. Garen, the ancient alpha, tore through the front lines. His old bones ached. His breath came in ragged bursts. But his will was a fortress of iron. For every fallen brother, another rose to stand beside him. This forest was their home, their sanctuary, and tonight it would not fall. The hours bled into one another. The screams of battle slowly faded, replaced by an eerie, heavy silence. The valley had become a graveyard, littered with the bodies of both youth and age. Smoke curled from smoldering trees, and the air was thick with the stench of blood and profound sorrow. At last, Garen found his son amidst the wreckage. Kale was battered, broken, his once fiery eyes now dim and clouded with pain. He looked up at his father, his voice a ragged whisper. You should have let us rule. Father, we could have been gods." Garen knelt beside him, his heart a heavy stone in his chest. "No, my son," he said, his voice gentle but firm. "Gods fall to we endure." As the last breath left Kale's body, he still beneath the moonlight. Garen closed his eyes, tilted his head to the sky, and let out a howl not of triumph, but of pure, heart-wrenching grief. A lament for his son, for his pack, for the future that had been lost. By the time the first light of dawn touched the horizon, the Red Fang was no more. The young who survived were taken back into the clan, their pride shattered, their wild hunger tamed by the brutal cost of their rebellion. The forest would heal, and the humans, sleeping in their beds, would never know how close they came to witnessing the end of their world. In the hidden glades, beneath the ever-watchful moon, the Lycanthra lived unseen, unchanged, and bound once more by the unbreakable old code. For in the end, they learned a bitter lesson. It was the old ways, the quiet ways, that truly kept the monsters alive. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing for more tales from the shadows. We'll see you in the next one.